I used to think that putting myself first and choosing myself meant that I was being selfish. So I spent so long putting everybody else before me and anybody else before my own life, goals, dreams, and happiness. But then I realized and I really started discovering how putting myself first and finally focusing on myself and my own life could completely change the way I looked at myself and my life. Because before, I used to just play small and just be as agreeable and as friendly and, just like go along with the flow of whatever people were saying and whatever others wanted. So, like, for example, if everyone was picking out a restaurant to go and eat at, and everyone was like, oh, I want sushi. So I would just be like, oh, yeah, like, I want sushi too. Let's just like go along with it, instead of actually like asking myself, like, what do I really want? And, I would just play it small and I would just try and be as agreeable as possible with everybody else. But the truth is, when you just play small and when you just keep playing small and just try to go along with what everyone else is saying and how they're living their lives and what they're doing, what you're really doing is you're like ignoring your potential. You're ignoring your potential, your dreams, your desires, everything. Because we're all very different people, right? And if we can't all just do the same thing and expect the same results, you know what I mean? Because we're all different people, we're all unique in our own ways. So we have to all listen to our own desires and our own dreams and goals and work according to that and not according to everyone else and their dreams and what they want and what they think is right, because we can't live our lives according to other people. And people who are just very agreeable and, who put everyone else above themselves and put everybody else, everyone's desires and needs and wants above their own, those people are just, like usually these kinds of people have like a lot of friends and a lot of people around them because everyone wants a person like that. You know what I mean? As in, like, these people are very easy to take advantage of because everyone wants a person that just agrees with them and goes with their desires and wants and needs all the time, right? It's like, because a lot of people want these kinds of people around them, the people who just agree with them and tell them that everything is great and will just go along with them no matter what, even if they don't want to, even if they think that, the situation isn't good and they don't want to, they still do. A lot of people want people and friends and people like that around them because these people just love playing small and they don't know how to like talk for themselves and stand up for themselves. But these people are also very easy to take advantage of. And I have been like in that shoes, like I've been in that position before, and it's it's just not worth it. And anyone else who can agree right now watching this, like, just playing small and being agreeable and, being trying to be accepted by everyone else all the time is so draining. And finally learning to speak up for yourself and, um talk about your dreams and your desires and what you want as you want it without the sugarcoating, without trying to be liked by everyone, is like such a freeing experience. So one of the first things I started doing when I started focusing on myself and my life and bettering myself and improving myself was I started, because people who focus on themselves, they're not busy playing small, they're not, because they realize that playing small and keeping yourself just agreeable and friendly all the time and for everything, no matter what, like, that's not beneficial for anyone, okay? Especially not for yourself if you're doing that. And I used to do that, and it was not beneficial. I can tell you that, being on the other side of it now, I can tell you it's not beneficial at all. And focusing on yourself and focusing on my life now and myself now means that, I'm actually optimizing my time. I'm optimizing my life, my time, my space, my energy, efforts, everything, and my daily life as well. Because I'm realizing like the things that are holding me back, like, for example, I knew that me in the past, especially playing small all the time and keeping myself agreeable and, nice to everyone no matter what, that was harming me. And I realized that because I started focusing on myself and not, just on like what other people think and what they want, instead of taking my focus from that now and taking it back and realizing, actually, I want to focus on myself. So focusing on myself meant that, I started focusing on my time my energy, and how I can optimize it. And obviously, playing small, trying to be liked by everyone, or caring about what everyone else thinks, like those things were, you know, um, ruining my life basically, and making me waste my time and my energy. So, focusing on yourself, like one of the biggest benefits is that, you'll optimize your potential, really. Like, you'll optimize, your energy, your time, everything. So, you'll be optimizing your potential and trying to reach for your goals and your dreams and trying to achieve all of those things instead of, caring about what other people think, or trying to play small or anything else, because you'll just be focused on yourself and what you want first, and then, other people that matter in your life or that you want to care about, they come next. But you come first, and that is what you will start doing once you start focusing on yourself. Another way in which focusing on yourself is going to change your life and improve your life, and how it changed and improved my life, was some very common issues that we all face, that I faced, especially in the past, was, being too invested in other people's business, being too invested in their lives, in other people in general, what they're doing, what they think, blah, blah, everything, right? And it's like, once you start focusing on yourself and honing in on your life, because, like, honestly, that's what we're here to do in the first place, right? Like, we were not given this life. We were not born on this planet, on this earth, everything in this time, to just be invested in other people, in their business, what they're doing, everything. People who succeed, people who are living the happiest, most fulfilling, satisfying lives, they are not thinking about everybody else, as in like what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is thinking. Like, they are not busy trying to do that. And that is exactly what I used to do in the past. I used to think about everybody else. I wasn't thinking about, what I wanted. Like, what do I want to achieve in this life? What are my goals, my dreams? And you don't need to have all the answers. Absolutely not. I still don't. But it's like, and that's not the point. But it's like knowing what you want, and like, you know, getting to know yourself. What do you want? What do you like? Um, and how do you want to live your life? How do you want to be? So instead of focusing on everybody else, focusing on yourself means you're gonna have a more satisfying, like beautiful and like a rich life full of the things that you love and you want. And then, like the right people will come along. Once you're focusing on yourself, all the right people will come along. Everything in your life will start falling into place because you're focusing on yourself, and you are like the center of your life, right? Like, everything in your life is centered around you, because you are the person, you are the main force in your life. So focusing on yourself is going to literally change everything, because it's all actually surrounded around you, and it's all literally centered around you. So, and if you're like a person who like gets pretty jealous, or like is insecure about themselves or their lives or looks or anything else, or you're a person who gets very easily jealous by other people's success, or them doing well in their lives, or them being a good person or anything like that, then focusing on yourself is literally the answer to these problems. Because nobody wants to be a jealous person, nobody wants to be an insecure person, and I used to be all of those things in the past, like very much. So like, I really know what I'm saying, because I've literally been through those things myself. And it's like, if you're focusing on yourself, on your life, you won't have the time, energy, capacity to even be jealous of anyone else, or be insecure about your looks or anything like that, because you'll be working on it. You'll be working on it. You'll be like trying to figure out, like, okay, so these are the areas I want to work on, and this is what I can do about it. So you'll be like mapping and planning, and like getting to really know yourself on a deeper level. And that is like one of the most beautiful and powerful things that anybody can do. And that is exactly what focusing on yourself and like living your life in a way where you're actually focused on yourself, and you're the main like attraction, main point in your life, and not other people and not other things, you know? Because everything else, like I said before as well, is gonna start falling into place. The right people, the right job, like, the right opportunities, everything else, your happiness, everything is gonna start like falling into place if you are focusing on yourself. And people who are overly jealous or insecure or just too invested in other people's business and talking shit and everything, those people are literally not focusing on themselves. They are literally focusing on everybody else and way too much. And that is where all the jealousy, insecurities, and everything is coming from. You know, and if you have like insecurity, like we all have insecurities, okay? And that is completely fine. I still have insecurities. I'm still working on a lot of things. And it's meant to be like that, you know, it's a lifelong journey. But, you know, because I'm a person who's like, yep, I'm focused on myself. So I'm not invested in like other people's insecurities and laughing about it or being jealous about things. Like, yes, I still get jealous. And, you know, this is probably a whole different conversation to have. But, like, yes, you know, everyone still gets jealous. Everyone's still human. But it's like, you know, you're not overly jealous and obsessed with like everybody else. You are obsessed with you and your life. And focusing on yourself is literally one of the best things that anybody can do, especially the people who are like very unhappy and very insecure. Like, this is literally the solution to all your problems. And this is literally how I stopped being like, you know, overly invested in everyone else and, you know, being super insecure and like even super jealous of everyone else. So it really works. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I know I didn't go into you know, how you can actually start to focus on yourself, but this topic is going to be a whole separate like video in which I'll talk about, you know, how I started focusing on myself and my life and how you can do the same. So, you know, if you really want to see that video, then let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this, and, you know, how do you focus on yourself? And if you've started or if you want to start, let me know. Thank you so much for sticking around and for dropping by, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Mwah.